Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I want to give you guys an update on my 323 Affliction League influenced EK Ignite Elementalist. And yeah, this kind of becomes my signature build because I'm playing it like almost every single league, and I use this build to do my 60 Simulacrum project. So if you want to see like how does this build perform in a full Simulacrum run, then please check out my YouTube channel. You're gonna find all the stuff there. And today this is not gonna be a build guide in that case, because honestly I've been covering this build so often, and there's even a max roll guide for it on my YouTube channel. You find many iterations from that, from the league starting up to like the super high investment type of thing. And so I thought today I want to go over to show you guys what did I change from previous iterations into the Affliction League, going over the changes from the gearing part, about the charms and everything, and what new stuff we can do. I personally think the build in this league is probably the strongest as what we had, because honestly, usually I had like the full DPS version that is like Ignite capped, but therefore does not run something like Spell Suppression and Grace. Then there is like the more tanky version with Spell Suppression and Grace, and this time around it is Spell Suppression Grace version had like a 20 mil Ignite DPS. This time around it is again Spell Suppression and Grace, but therefore it also has Ignite cap. So we have like probably twice as much DPS as we usually have with this kind of version. So I would say, before people asking, we're just gonna throw in a random map here. I guess we're just gonna do any of the, any like whatever random map, because honestly, with this build you can do whatever you want anyways. I'll just try to do as many wisps, but the thing is though, right? I personally know that a lot of people are looking forward to see, how can this build do against like 8k wisp maps, 10,000 wisps, I don't know. I've been spending the majority of the time with this build in in the Simulacrum. So at the moment, I'm gonna go in here and try to do, I know there is like the diamond strat, but I haven't been mapping for the most part, so I have no idea how to do like a 10,000 wisp map or something like that, right? Please keep that in mind. I know there's like, as I said, this diamond strategy where you're just trying to find one part and then trying to figure out the others and stuff like that. But in the end of the day, if I can do wave 30 Simulacrum with this build, I'm pretty sure I can do a lot more with this build. So wait, technically we got here, so this is one. Was on the bottom side, so do we now go right side? Oh god, I think we just go straight up here, right? Maybe find another one. And I don't know. I need to figure out. I've seen videos on how that works, but that's not the point of this video. But I'm just saying, somebody even made an EK version, a video that I've seen, where he was running T16 Burial Chamber as a Magic Find EK Ignite, doing an 8 or 9,000 wisp map, and he did that. So I'm pretty sure that my non-Magic Find version, which has like 3 times more DPS than his EK Ignite basically, will be perfectly fine of doing whatever wisp content that you're looking for. It is decently tanky. It's not a build that will face tank everything in the game, but honestly the playstyle of EK Ignite is just so enjoyable with all the chains going on with the Ignite prolifs and so on. It's like one of the best clears in the game in my opinion. I still prefer the Headhunter version over the Mageblood version, because there's just so many unique flasks that make the build just a lot stronger overall. For example, you have like in my version here the Oriat's End, because I was too budget to buy an exploding bow, but it's totally fine. I think the explosions from the Oriat's End is super fine to just have like a very nice mapping breeze. Quick boss over here, put down my the Hydrosphere, and yeah, boss is dead. So this map showcase Simulacrum run is in another video if you want to check that out, but I want to use this mainly to show you guys what I've done to the build, different to the other versions that I made, right? Good. First things first, let's talk about the conversion. So usually I was running the conversion on my gloves. I had a Watcher's Eye with Hatred conversion, and on top of that I was using the Cold Mastery over here, right, to get 100%. This time around I decided to make it with a quiver, because in the end of the day, what do we win and what do we lose? There's always like a comparison, right? So because usually you would have like, I don't know, like a Redeemer, Warlord, Quiver with Essence Craft or whatever, Fizz is extra cold, Fizz is extra fire, something like that, right? But we are trading basically Fizz is extra fire, the Essence mod, and then basically win the extra conversion on the Quiver, but therefore free up a Watcher's Eye modifier, right? So what I did on this Quiver, I matched together the Shapers, what is it, physical damage convert to cold, no wait, actually physical damage extra cold, combined with the Crusaders conversion mod, and then I was lucky enough to get like T2 life, and then yeah, I just veiled Chaos Orb the suffix, and then I just Chaos Slam T1 Chaos Rest, which was pretty lucky. But in the end of the day, it's all about the base starting with the Fizz extra cold as well as the Fizz extra, like the Fizz conversion, right? That is our first 25%. We get 40% of our mastery, means we are at 65, so we need 35%. And you can solve the 35 on your gloves. But this is not like the craft. The craft goes up to 25%, but the Aisling modifier can go up to 35. So what you do is the same way as I usually do. I have my Spell Suppression Fracture Base or 10% faster Ignite for even more DPS. Then just Essence Spam for T1 resistance, and then just lock the suffixes, Veiled Chaos Orb until I hit the conversion, and then I craft life, and that is pretty much what I've done to the gloves. So 35 over here, 25 over here, makes a total of 60, and then with the conversion mastery, we get 100%. And that frees us up with basically the Watcher's Eye modifier. And the problem here is basically I'm getting to a point where I'm having so much DPS that I try to need to get rid of DPS to get more tankiness, right? So if I take a look at my POB over here, you're going to see that it says here, you're probably not going to see that. On the bottom side, it says 2 warnings. Dot DPS exceeds the in-game limit and full dot DPS exceeds the in-game limit. So in my current version here, I'm having like purely 30 mil or 31 mil Ignite DPS with EK, and then comes on top the Burning Ground from the Flame Surge and stuff like that, right? And yeah, so I'm having too much DPS, and there is even more DPS that I could get. For example, with a faster Ignite, with Dot Malevolence, faster Ignite, Watcher's Eye modifiers. There is charms that give you extra DPS, which was taking, like, it is crazy how much damage that you can get on a build like that, but dot builds are capped at like 35.7 million or something like that, which is the limit for a dot build. So that's why I say, first you're going to try to get up your DPS, then you start adding your tankiness, and then you add more and better gear and get more damage, more tankiness. But at a certain point, I have too much damage, so I need to check like, okay, how can I get more tanky? So I decided to take something like reduced extra damage from critical strikes while affected by determination, maybe spell suppression, maybe anything else that you would fit into here to basically, sorry, this was my WhatsApp, to have just a well-rounded character. You can also take different versions of like a Lethal Pride with like 3 times faster Ignite, but at the end of the day, once you reach a certain point of gear, you're gonna have too much damage. So that's why I went back to my Brutal Restraint with the Aura Effect, because Aura Effect not only basically increases our damage, it also increases our defensive, right? Because Aura Effect for Determination, for Grace, for what else do we have? Discipline, for example, right? So just to give you guys an idea. Good. What other change did I do? Basically, I'm running just an I wouldn't say average, because this bow is actually pretty nutty, but thanks to the charms, we don't need the +1 socketed gems in order to get all our auras going, because there is charms with mana reservation efficiency, right? With the mana reservation efficiency over here, we also don't need mana reservation efficiency on our helmet anymore. For example, I used to have Fractured Spell Suppression Helmet and then craft like with the essence of mana reservation efficiency, and then get mana reservation efficiency on the implicits thanks to the what is it, Searing Exarch, Eater of Worlds implicit, right? Eldritch implicits. And with a charm like that, you don't need this anymore. So that's why I can go with a Blizzard Crown, giving you a shit ton of flat cold damage. The hits treat cold res as 10% higher than actual value. Does not matter for us. We're an Ignite build, right? That means that the monster takes fire damage, so we don't care about that stat. But then you can go with something like nearby enemies have or take increased fire damage with, combined together with the Ignites, deal damage faster to have a mega damage boost towards your EK build. And thanks to charms, we don't need the mana reservation at all anymore, right? Another thing which is quite nice, when getting the spell suppression bases, it is usually not that easy to go spell suppression cap. Usually I did like a precise technique, what is it, Impossible Escape to get the spell suppression nodes over here, and then maybe a Grace Watcher's Eye with spell suppression, but now there is things like Charms with spell suppression, right? So I have like, I'm running here double, so this is like 30 spell suppression and Ellie Reflect and a Mana Reservation and double non-chaos as extra chaos just to get even more DPS out of that. So the gear is in that case cheaper because you don't need the crazy amounts of mana reservation. You get easier capped on your spell suppression. You can also take like a Skin of the Lords with Mage Bane to get some extra spell suppression going, or other things. Doesn't really matter, it is completely up to you, but there is just more ways now to fix the stats that you need. So Conversion on Quiver, Blizzard Crown, what else changed? I think the rest of the gear is pretty much the same way as I had it in the past. You know, I have like double ailment avoidance here with the Ancestral Vision to get me spell suppression, at least like ailment avoidance capped, right? Then I'm using Gloomfang. So Gloomfang, obviously, the choice for me. I don't really understand the point when people say, yo, Replica Dragonflying is better. No, it's not. If I put in a Replica Dragonflying with one curse, I'll lose like 10 million Ignite DPS. It is just a chain that makes it so good. And now, basically, with the Tainted Catalysts, which are super expensive, but you still can get up your extra Chaos damage quite well. So why do you say, like, why do we need the additional curse? There is like two ways why. First of all, obviously, Ellie weakness is a damage multiplier because it lowers the resistance of the enemy. I mean, it's a fair point. But the thing is, I'm doing this on a self-cast. So basically, what I'm doing is I refresh my Ellie weakness and Malevolence like every couple seconds. I'm running around Ellie weakness, Malevolence. So I'm actually thinking about removing this like skill point where it has increased duration because I catch myself always pressing those two buttons back to back, right? But there is another thing that I added here, which is the Balance of Terror, which gives you physical damage as extra from a random element if you've cast Ellie Weakness recently, and also like immune to exposure if you want that in the past 10 seconds. But it is 40% Phys as extra random element is quite a nice damage boost. And thanks to the Witch Was Taken and Charms, there's many ways to actually gain this extra damage. For example, physical damage as extra random element or whatever. Then we have the non-chaos as extra chaos that benefits us from all the sources of like conversion. So we get the extra chaos damage from our cold damage, and then with the cold to fire support we gain the chaos damage from the extra fire damage as well, similar to the way the Gloomfang works with the non-chaos as extra chaos damage. But there is another mod that is even stronger than that, which is the 7% additional exposure. So I tested all three of the mods in PUB, and it turns out the extra exposure is the strongest one. So why am I not using the extra exposure? Because there's three different charms. There's like the Lupine charm, there is, what is this one, the Corvin charm, and there's a third one. And the problem is, the one with the additional exposure cannot roll spell suppression. And that's the reason why I went with the non-chaos, because it's the second best, but it also can have spell suppression over there, right? So as I said, another way of adding some big chunky damage, as well as like the Witch Was Taken, which can have non-chaos as extra exposure, Phys as extra, or spell suppression, or whatever you need. Just take what you need, basically, from these jewels and charms and stuff like that. Good, so Balance of Terror with a hand cast. Ellie Weakness was also added to the build with the additional curse. If you don't have additional curse, it would just be 4 points to get Whispers of Doom. Other than that, you can play with whatever you want. You can play Headhunter, you can play Mage Blood, you can... This was basically the belt that I used before Headhunter, which is basically a Stygian-wise with Strength, Dexterity, some Life, and the Crafted Resistance. So absolutely nothing crazy with a nice Abyssal just to add some extra damage. But then at some point I had enough currency buying a Headhunter, so I swapped these ones out. And I think basically the next swap that I would do is get rid of the Quartz Flask, because I was running Simulacrums. That's why I had the Facing. I don't need the spell suppression. I'm way over spell suppression capped. But the thing though is, I would put in here a Progenesis, for example, right? So Taste of Hate, very good offensive and defensive flask. Etheris Promise, big damage, Chaos Leech, explosions with physical explosions, basically. No, wait, it's a random element, but it's fine still. Explosion, and then I would add a Progenesis on top, right? And then here maybe a Quicksilver, but in the end of the day I was running Simulacrums. I didn't need to have like 500% movement speed while mapping, and that's why I say for this build there is so many powerful unique flasks that I'd rather play with a Headhunter than a Mage Blood, basically. You can also play Mage Blood with Inspired Learning. I don't know, go down here, take an Inspired Learning, or down here and get some notes over here. It is completely up to you. Good. Let me quickly open my PUB to see what else have I done here. So, chest is one thing that probably a lot of people will ask. The way I do it is usually go with the Skin of the Loyal in the start, right? This is just like the stronger tabby, and the increased global defense benefits our armor, evasion, and discipline, basically our energy shield. Then I would upgrade to Skin of the Lords with any keystone that doesn't ruin the build. In the best case, I think it's going to be Magebane or something to get some extra spell suppression. But this one over here is like the strongest chest that you can get, and this was actually a ridiculous damage upgrade. So the problem is they changed the way EK works, right? And by the way, I want to throw this in before I forget it. This is the transfigured version of EK, which is basically the one with the helmet chance, so they fire in a circle. And the difference, it has the same damage effectiveness. It just has a little bit less cast speed or cast time. I think the base version is like 0.6 and the transfigured gem is 0.75, so you have a little bit less cast speed. But therefore you have those projectiles in a circle, making it just like a feels better build to play with this circular, right? So basically what I was saying is EK was one of the few blade skills or whatever, you know, the lingering blades, you know, what you can have with like Blade Vortex, EK, or all these like projectiles thingies, right? That got removed. I think there is a different Transfigured Gem now for EK with Lingering Blades, for Blade Blast or whatnot. I've never played one of those builds. I'm not even interested in those. But the problem is, the Lingering Blades had a duration, and that's why the gem had a duration tag. So you could take Projectile Gems, Duration Gems, or +1 as a combination, basically, on your Chest Corruption. Now we can only work with Projectile Gems. And the thing is, having a +1, +2 projectile is insanely rare, so it's gonna be very hard to get a thing like that. I don't know if there's even one on the market. Somebody offered me one mirror yesterday for mine, but you also need to figure out the right socket colors. I got it pretty cheap, so these are both like the wrong socket colors, and there is like going for a mirror. It's like pretty crazy, right? But that's why I say, like, in this league, so many ways to add extra damage to your build. It's not really necessary, but hey, if you want to min-max it, that would be the way to go. Other than that, let's check real quick. We talked about the helmet. My weapon basically the same, like EK bow as I was using it since forever. The conversion over here, the veiled conversion over here to free up the mastery. The boots are still the same. A flammability on hit ring with strength, dexterity to fill our needs basically for all of our auras, because determination and grace do take up a lot of like strength and dexterity. Polaric devastation. There is also a way where you can like, there's a charm where you can like cover enemies in ash that would free up another ring slot. So if you're interested in that, you can also do that as well. But I personally think that this 100% cover enemies in ash is just better feeling, because the other one, the charm modifier, has just like a 20% chance against only rare and unique enemies, I think. But in the other hand, you know, when you're bossing, you put down your stuff and you just shoot EK, and probably the pulsing of your Hydrosphere will permanently like at this cover enemies in ash, so it wouldn't be a big deal. But I figured, like, I don't see there is too much problem with that. Good. The PUB, as always, is in the description below. Let me quickly go over my MTX setup here. Dragon Hunter bow with Dragon Hunter quiver. Then we have the Pitch Black bandana, the Rupture body armor, Burning Torture gloves, and the Kitava boots. I mean, boots, they are legacy, but anything will work here. When it comes to boots, you don't really see them too much. And then I'm using the Blood-Soaked character effect. So without this effect, your character will look kind of like normal and maybe a bit weird, but I just found like the blood version, which is basically covering your entire character in blood, looked actually like pretty cool with some flame effects over there. So this one here is the Exile's Pilfering Ring, where you can see how much currency have you picked up in this league. That comes from the Misery box. So it is basically a gamble if you get that or not. What else do I do? Disabling all the flasks. We have the demonic weapon effect, infernal crystalline charges, as well as the ancestral portal effect. Then for everything else here, I think EK's the stars effect, and the rest I just have like completely disabled. And the Herald of Ash effect is obviously the Despair Herald effect, which is, in my opinion, still like one of the best Herald effects. Good. So yeah, another league, another EK Ignite done. I have played this character now for almost 5 days, and I have killed close to 2 million monsters on this character. I can just always say, if you never played this build, go ahead, play it. It is a lot of fun, and I think it is the most fun and strongest Ignite character out there, with basically the best scaling option. And in this league, it's gonna be even stronger than before, thanks to charms, thanks to all the other things that we can add. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy this build. This yeah, I don't think there's anything else to add. If you have any further questions, and don't ask me like, hey, can this build run 9,270 Wisp maps? Yes, it can. All right. It can. It absolutely can. And you can even make a magic finder out of that if you please to, and I actually wanted to do so, but I've been playing this build now since quite a while, and I would like to move on to other projects, because I had, for example, this one over here with quantity and physics extra of a random element. This would be my substitution if I would go magic find instead of the Gloomfang, because I think for mapping I don't need that ridiculous amount of damage. But then add a Ventor's, add like Gold Worm Boots or something, maybe if you have a nice Ventor's Gamble then with a Calandra's Touch. I'm not saying that this is gonna be crazy magic find, right? There is the Tornado Shot magic finders that will probably have a lot more quantity and rarity, but I think as an overall build, where you say like, hey, I want to have a build that maps fast, that can do uber bosses or do any content in the game, including wave 30 simulacrum or high wisp count. And yes, you can obviously add some magic find, but then you need to like juggle around with the stats. How much damage do you need to make the build feel good? And the less damage you need, the more magic find you can add, basically. And I think it should be absolutely fine. But honestly, when you go really ridiculous maps with like 8k juice, I don't even think that you need magic find anymore, because the magic find, the rarity quantity that you get from the wisps should be fair enough to just run just a strong overall build, and you will still have like insane benefits. And honestly, running a magic finder on tier 16 with insane juice and 8 modded maps and 1 ring path and so on, at this point you should have multi-mirrors made in or stick into your character, so currency shouldn't be an issue for whatever you're planning to do anyways. Good. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video and build.